We have some Gate Guardian for you today. Wait, that's real? Somebody actually found success with Gate Guardian? It's been a while. We also have some Mannadium shenanigans and Infernoble, and of course some other goodies as well. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out. More awesome content. You know, it is a fun time out here when you can see the Gate Guardian doing its thing. Interesting choice of only the one Song of the Thunder, but I mean, trying to reduce the bricks is fine. And I mean, let's be honest, most of the Sangha fusions, minus, you know, this one, typically aren't even that great. I like this build a lot. I think that, you know, the use of the floodgates can actually kind of curve things out. And let's be honest here, Prisma is by far one of the best cards that this deck has going for it in terms of setup, utilization, and, I mean, just being Song of the Thunder usually. So, of course, you have the triple copies of the Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. You have the 2 copies of the Prisma, 2 copies of Kazajan, triple copies of the Labyrinth Heavy Tank, 2 copies of Magician Souls, because, remember, you can drop Kazajan with this. So, have the 1 Song of the Thunder, triple copies of the Shadow Ghoul, 2 copies of Suijin, triple copies of A Hero Lives, 2 copies of Double Attack Wind and Thunder, the 1 Foolish Bro, your triple copies of Fusion Deployment, triple copies of the Labyrinth Wall Shadow, we got 2 copies of Prospe, of course we have the 1 Ryoku Guardian, the 1 Terraforming, 2 copies of Talents, triple copies of Infinite Permanence, and of course triple copies of There Can Only Be One Gate Guardian. And of course, you have Relinquished Anima. We're actually playing Pentastag. This is kind of interesting. I mean, giving your Big Gate Guardian some, you know, extra oomph is pretty good. We also have the 1 Lingaribo, the 1 Nightmare Phoenix with the 1 Cerberus, the 1 Boral Sword, triple copies of Gate Guardian combined, 2 copies of Wind and Water, 2 copies of Water and Thunder, and 2 copies of Thunder and Wind. Then, of course, we have triple copies of Dimension Shifter because good Floodgate is good, triple copies of Droll and No Funbird, 2 copies of the Turtle, 1 Change of Heart, the 1 Feather Duster, 2 Twin Twisties, and triple copies of Skill Drain here. Wrapping up pretty straightforward and not much to really consider here version of the deck. Good stuff. Next up here, we have Mannadium. And the first thing you're going to see right there is Archlord Christia. Yeah, you're going to get to do some Shadow Light plays out here. And I think a lot of people might genuinely underestimate, like, how good Shadow's Light actually is. I mean, we've already seen, you know, Dark Dragoon getting warped out here. But, I mean, it is what it is out here. So, we have 1 Archlord Christia, who doesn't love walking, talking, punishable floodgates. 2 copies of the Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, 2 copies of Droll and Lockbird. We have triple copies of the Mannadium Meek, triple copies of Riemhart, 2 copies of Torrid, and then, of course, we have triple copies of Reichhart. Your triple, or excuse me, 1 copy of the Veta Kalanta. Then we have triple copies of Vis's Starfrost. And then 2 copies of Book of Moon, the 1 Called by the Grave. 2 copies of Abstention, 1 copy of Imaginings. Triple copies of Calarium, 1 copy of Reichtophobia. Your 1 Rhoda, your 2 copies of The Arrival. Triple copies of the Shadow's Light. 2 Imperm, the 1 Reframing, and of course the 1 New World Formation. Actually, very interesting to see this card seeing play. Then, of course, we have the 1 Lightheart, the 1 copy of Crossshape, the 1 copy of Apollosa. We have 1 Visas Armatara, and then, of course, we have Triage Master, Ultimaya Bishi Bulkin, 1 copy of the Ice Jade Green, the King Calamity, of course, the Crimson Dragon, the Chaos Angel, the Dissipator, the Baron, the Stardust, and 2 copies of a Stroud. And then, of course, we have triple copies of Ghostbell, triple copies of Cosmic Cyclone, your 2 Dark Roller No More, 2 Eradicator, triple Evenly, and 2 copies of There Can Only Be One. Wrapping up, once again, a pretty straightforward take on what you're trying to do out here. And, you know, this, and this in combination, I'll leave it at that. Next up here is Warrior Toolbox. Okay. So this won the Olympus Cards Tournament out of Georgia, I believe. And, you know, the first thing I got to say about this list is it's pretty standard, honestly. I mean, most of this package here is for the hand loop shenanigans, but I mean, worst case, I mean, you're going to search for this off of the Assault, so you have, you know, it loaded up in the hand in case, you know, you need it off the subplay. This is not playing the red layer either, which, I mean, you can get away with. It depends on how much you want to build the deck to be able to kind of turbo off and get things off of the ground. So you have a lot of cool options for this deck. So we have triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. Got the triple copies of the Droll and Lockbird. We have 2 copies of Fireflint Lady, 2 copies of the Immortal Phoenix Gearfried, triple copies of the Renault, 1 copy of Roland, triple copies of Ogier, 2 copies of Oliver, your 1 copy of Ricardo. Of course, we have the 1 Turpin with the triple copies of Connector, and the 1 Aqua Dolphin. We also have the 1 Almace, your triple copies of Durandal, 1 copy of the Joyuse, 1 Called By, the 1 Phoenix Blade, the triple copies of Heritage of the Chalice, 1 Metal Silver Armor, the triple Museum, the 1 Rhoda, and of course, 2 copies of the Talents. Then we have the 1 copy of Ra 10, 2 copies of Isolde, the 1 Ferocious Flame Swordsman, 2 copies of Emperor Charles the Great. We have 1 Zeus. We also have 1 copy of Artorgius, the 1 copy of Charles. Of course, we have the 1 Captain Roland, the 1 High Lancelin, the 1 Crimson Blader, the 1 Baron, and 2 copies of Angelica. And then, of course, we have 2 copies of Space Rock, 2 Hadoken, 1 copy of the Oops, I Gained Life and Time, 2 copies of Thrust, and then, of course, we have 2 Anti-Spell, 1 Dimensional Barrier, 2 Ripple Evenly Matched, and 2 copies of Trap Tracks here. Wrapping up, once again, pretty interesting take on the hero stuff, or excuse me, the Infernoble good stuff. Sorry, they're all warriors. They all kind of confuse me some days. Speaking of heroes, see, I was getting ahead of myself here. I knew what we were doing. Honest opinion about heroes at this point in time. I think the favorite contact Infernal Divisor stuff has genuinely made this deck a lot more interesting to players. A lot of people are kind of looking at this right now, and they're going, you know, I kind of want to pick up heroes just for the chance to play, because it just took somebody figuring out Infernal Divisor here, you know, being able to tack this in to get the Shining Neoswing made. It amazes me that that didn't stick until fairly recently. I don't know if players just didn't consider it a consistency method or what. I mean, anytime you can put a brick in your deck, I get it. It doesn't feel like the best at the end of the day. So, of course, we have triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. Got the 1 copy of Dark Angel, the 1 Denier, 2 copies of Malicious, the 1 Plasma with the triple copies of Droll and Lockbird. So have the 1 Honest Neos, the 1 Liquid Soldier, the 1 Shadow Mist, the triple Stratos, triple copies of Faris with your 2 copies of Increase, 2 copies of Vion. You also have the 1 Neos, the triple copies of A Hero Lives, 2 copies of Book of Moon, 1 Called By, the 1 Foolish Burial, your 2 Forbidden Droplets, triple copies of the Fusion Destiny, the 2 Mass Change, the 1 Poly. Of course, we have the 1 Rhoda, the 2 Talents, and the 1 Favorite Contact. Then, of course, we have 2 Wonder Driver, the 1 Infernal Divisor, the 1 Dread Decimator, the 1 Cross Crusader. Of course, we have the 1 Wake Up Your Elemental Hero, 2 Dark Law, 1 copy of Acid, 1 Sunrise, 1 Shining Neos, the Infernal Rage, the Absolute Zero, the DP, and of course Dangerous Lad. Then we have triple Ghost Bell, 2 Cosmic Cyclone, triple Hadoken, 1 Feather Duster, triple Evenly Matched, and triple copies of Rivalry of the Warlords here. Honestly, wrapping up another interesting take for heroes. You don't get a lot of leeway in this deck, but I think most things, once you definitely get the ratios and things figured out, the deck is pretty much streamlined at this point in time. You got to know how to Dark Law your opponent. All right, and our last list here is, why are these in my Labyrinth deck? Why are we trying to cheese out Red Eyes Dark Dragoon in this deck? We've seen this come up. Oh boy, it's been a while, honestly, but this is something that we've seen this deck kind of try to popularize a little bit. And once again, it does show up every blue moon. I think it is, you know, a cute little splash of things that you can actually mess around with. So this is kind of cute. So I have 2 copies of Ariana, triple copies of your Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, 2 copies of the Chandelier. Of course, we have 1 copy of my Cuckoo Clock, triple copies of my Stove, 2 copies of the Lady Labyrinth, and then 1 Lovely. We have 1 Dark Magician, the 1 Red Eyes Black Dragon, the 1 Called By, your 2 Crossout, the 1 Labyrinth, your triple Pot of Prosperity, your triple Red Eyes Fusion, your 2 Super Poly. You have the triple copies of Big Welcome, 1 copy of Punishment, the 1 EEV, the 1 Full Force. Actually, this is interesting to see. We also have the 1 Goes and Match, 2 copies of Imperm, your 2 Skill Drain, the 1 copy of Warning Point, and of course, 2 Welcome Labyrinth. Then we have 1 Underworld Goddess, the 1 Bucephalus 2, the 1 News Reporter, the 1 Dahark, the 1 Chakanine with the 1 Borbo, the 1 Zeus, the 1 copy Chaos Angel, the 1 Starving Venom, the 1 Dark Dragoon, the 1 Predaplant, the 1 Mud Dragon, the 1 Gragonal, the 1 Garua, and the 1 Ents. And then we have triple copies of Lavagol, your 1 copy of Change of Heart, Feather Duster, 2 copies of Anti-Scam, the 1 Destruct Potion for Time, the 1 Destructive Daruma, the 1 Dimensional Barrier, Triple Evenly, the 1 Gozen, and 1 Skill Drain here. Wrapping up your chunk of list. So what do you guys think about these goodies? Please, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.